I'm reading Jung's book, The Psychological Types, in this book, and I think this was one of the first books that because he coined the phrases extroverted and introverted. He's the one that coined those two phrases, and what this book is essentially doing is breaking down. He's doing it so great. He takes two figures in history, and perhaps schisms like that, when the Eastern Orthodoxy and the whatever the other one is, like the Catholic, when they kind of switch, he's using multiple examples showing the differences between the extroverted thinking and feeling versus the introverted thinking and feeling. And when you position that what is it?
Animism would be like
Animism?
nature worship. Yeah.
And animism, and what was the other one?
Nature worship.
Ancestry. Yeah. When you just said that thing, that it just clicked, because he uses these both examples and how he defines the psyche. And I think he really does have it right. The extroverted types and the introverted types they think completely oppositely, and but the thing is that their thinking and their psyche, it complements each other. In each side, what tailors them towards introverted thinking, extroverted thinking, is their compensation of the lack of the other way of thinking. So let me give this example. He goes back to the Reformation, and he was talking about Martin Luther. I forget the other man that he was thinking about, but this was during the casualty that we were talking. Maybe you don't remember that term I used. This is when the churches were starting to break and all these denominations were starting, and this is the Catholic tradition. And this is one of the things that Martin Luther was fighting for, I guess you could say, is the commune with the bread and the wine, like the actual, like the Christ, like, tradition.
Communion.
And what separated Martin Luther from, I'm gonna hate myself for not remembering the other guy's name. He was pointing out differences with their thinking and why they thought that way. So he classified Martin Luther as the extroverted thinker. And the essence of the extroverted types, which would be the world worshippers, is that they, at the root, they subordinate themselves to the object. So they are controlled by awe-inspiring things. So, for instance, if I was looking at it, like, this is why extroverted people who are probably high in openness, high in creativity, when they will look at art or listen to music, they subordinate themselves to the subject. Like, the object. They subordinate themselves to the object. Sorry, them, the subject. They are second. They take a step back, and they subordinate themselves to the art. They subordinate themselves to whatever they're experiencing, and so they're less than their value. And this is what caused Martin Luther to want to experience this tradition of the it's called communion with the communion with the bread chip and the wine. He wanted there was discrepancy in the church of whether this should be like a literal thing or just a tradition. And one of the things that Carl Jung pointed out is that what Martin Luther did is, extroverted people, they are logical by nature. So what they have to do is they have to overcompensate for their logical being, and so they have to rely on their relationship to the object. This is what makes them subordinate to. This is why those people think that humans are here and we're on what is the word, like a stolen land, or human beings are parasites on. Obviously, that's like the most like radical version of this, but this is what leads to someone thinking like that we're like, so for some reason that Earth was here before us, so we need to respect Earth, whatever the hell that means. That's the root of that, because those extroverted people who are high in openness or high in creativity, they have to subordinate themselves to the object. And on the flip side, I forget the other guy's name. He didn't think of the blood of Jesus Christ. He didn't think of that as like a literal thing. He was the introverted thinker. So what the introverted person does is they do the complete opposite. The subject, they have dominion over the object. So if you're looking at art and you're an introverted thinker, you're not looking at the art because you're just so blown away by it. You're looking at art because Paul wants to look at this art, and I think this thing looks good. You're not doing it for the object. You're doing it kind of like for yourself. And people think introverted thinks that, oh, you don't want to talk to anyone. It's like that's like second grade level. Like this goes way deeper than just talking.
I was gonna say
people.
this sounds like Jung's conception. I wonder how it maps onto like Big Five, because I think extroversion, introversion on Big Five personality is probably more like are you more energized by people or things? Whereas this conception of introversion, extroversion sounds a little bit different. It's more specific to Jung.
Yeah. And so the flip side of this is you can see that that's the ancestral guilt, and that's where the ideology and identity politics come in. You can see how that kind of maps onto introverted thinking, because they themselves, they have dominion over their objects. And so this is what, and when you adopt an ideological framework, you have to break people down to their skin color. You have to break people down to their group identity. So people become widgets. You become God of what you are discerning, and people become movable widgets. That is how ideologies like that can spread, because your root is emotional. So how you overcome that emotional is with rigid logical thinking, and that's
compensation.
That's what that thing is. So when you talked about the animism and the other ancestral, I'm like, that sounds exactly like the schism between introverted and extroverted thinking. And one of the things that Jung also was talking about is that people aren't just extroverted or introverted. They are more introverted than they are extroverted, or they're less extroverted than they are introverted. So that was really cool thinking.